Hey everyone, it's Michael. Today I'm going to be doing a things like Goosebumps type book review here. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I've never read before. This is my first ever time reading anything from this series, or much less this entire franchise, but definitely not the first time I've read something from this author. Of course, as my title of my channel says, this is the Michael Goosebumps fan channel. I'm a big Goosebumps guy. I'm a huge intrigued person when it comes to R.L. Stine. I love his work. I really enjoy what I've read of him so far in my life. And I had heard a while back that there was sort of a Goosebumps type thing from another series that he wrote called Fear Street that I've never read. I wanted to check it out. I've kind of heard a lot of things, but I saw the other day on eBay that there was a big book lot. There was like 6 books listed. They weren't like books 1 through 6 or anything like that. But I've heard so much about this particular branch-off series from Fear Street. It's a kind of middle-grade book series, kind of like Goosebumps, more upper middle grade, I'd say, than actually Goosebumps even. And it is called Ghosts of Fear Street. This is book number 1, Hide and Shriek. The reason I changed my mind and wanted to go ahead and buy a couple of these and check them out, not only because of the amazing price, like $15 for 6 books, not only that, but it was mainly the idea of this first book. This first book really intrigued me with what I heard it was about. Immediately had me wanting to check it out. This definitely feels like a Goosebumps type thing. I don't know if I believe R.L. Stine wrote this. I think I heard somewhere this is one of the confirmed ones that he didn't write. I don't know if that's true or not. It doesn't really matter to me. It feels sort of like R.L. Stine, but not entirely. Not the tone. I don't know if that's just the way Ghosts of Fear Street is told. I don't know what the Fear Street books are like. But this is pretty good, man. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a pretty solid book. Hide and Shriek's whole plot is what intrigued me about this book. I had no interest in reading Ghosts of Fear Street anytime soon. I kind of wanted to put this off, and I might not rush into the other books anytime soon. I might just build the collection over time. I'm still working on my Goosebumps book collection as it is, and I kind of want to take care of that first and read a bunch of those books first before I do more things like this and some things like Goosebumps videos. But they'll be around every once in a while. But I was very curious to see what could happen with this book after I heard what it was about. Essentially, if you don't know what it is, of course I do spoiler-free reviews, so I kind of want to tell you a little bit about the plot and get you kind of introduced into what you could be getting yourself into here. There's basically a town called Shadyside, and there's a particular street called Fear Street that our main character, Randy, actually her name is Miranda, but her nickname is Randy, she moves onto this city block with her mother and father and her baby sister that they call Baby, of all things, and Baby does not like being called Baby. Her name is actually Barbara. Now, the thing is, she's the new kid in town. She's kind of struggling with getting to know new people, but there's this one thing that keeps happening that she keeps hearing about over and over again. When she goes into her school, there will be like bulletin boards and stuff that'll say things like, Pete's birthday is in 10 days. And she's kind of like, who is Pete? Why is some random person getting, talked about so well here? What's the deal with this? Well, then another kid, of course, runs into her that has like a giant gash in his head, and it turns out he's part of a play. He's not actually hurt like we thought she was. Because that was the immediate moment where I was like, wow, this is immediately going to be gorier than Goosebumps and all that. That's not what happens. It's pretty much a fake out, just like Goosebumps does. It's written in that respect, too, where you have a lot of like cliffhanger chapters and stuff, but not as well done as Goosebumps, I think. Maybe this is just too early on. Again, maybe the ghostwriter thing has some credibility to it. I don't know. But it doesn't always pull off the cliffhanger chapter ends as well as I think it could, or as well as Goosebumps typically always does. Even in its worst books, it typically pulls that off pretty well. But the character starts digging more and more into people and trying to figure out, like, what is this Pete person everybody keeps talking about? And every single day, of course, they keep the countdown going. 9 days, 8 days, 7 days until Pete's birthday. And the whole plot, this one little phrasing of the plot, is what got me to want to read this book. And I recommend it based on this alone, honestly. Again, I know nothing about the regular Fear Street books. I've never read a single one. I own like 2. I bought quite a few this weekend in giant book lots on eBay. I don't know anything about Fear Street. Ghosts of Fear Street, this is my first time ever reading any of this. This story, I don't know what the other ones are going to be like, aside from the ones that I have right now, like the other 5 that came in this book lot. But they don't look like they're going to come anywhere as close to the creepiness of this book and the general creepy eeriness that this plot has. Essentially, Pete, we come to find out, is a boy who once upon a time was found just withered up and dead. And nobody knows what happened to him. His body was just found and he was just like withered up, like a raisin almost, you know? We don't know what happened. And apparently he likes to play hide and seek. And one year, I think like a year after his death or whatever, a bunch of kids were playing hide and seek, and one of the little girls started screaming that she saw Pete out there. And they all ran away, and they didn't want to play hide and seek out there anymore. So that apparently pissed Pete off. And now there's this urban legend myth thing going on in the town that every teenager basically doesn't have to participate in this, but they do and kind of push each other by peer pressure into doing it because of you don't want to be labeled a coward, especially our main character, Randy, who just came to the town, who's having a really hard time making friends with people and stuff. This hide and seek game is made once a year on Pete's birthday itself, and Pete can come out and look for you, and if he since he's it in the game hide and seek, if he finds you, then he possesses you for like a year. Now, mind you, half of the book is kind of told to you right there from what I just summarized to you. It's still entertaining to read up to, but I wanted you to know the general mythology of what this thing is. It has such a great urban legend feel to it. Again, I don't know how many Ghosts of Fear Street books are like this. The ones that I have that I read the backs of, which I don't really do that a lot of the time. I kind of just pick up books based on the covers and the intrigue that the titles alone might give me. And I picked this one up just because I was so excited to read this particular book. I don't know about other Ghosts of Fear Street books, but this was good. It has this urban legend feel to it that I really dug. If you like topics based around things like, for example, the really scary games out there like Ouija and Bloody Mary, for example, that's what this almost feels like in that regard. Without like the gore and without like the cursing and everything that you typically have with young adult books and stuff. This is very clean cut. Your kids can read this. If your kids are exposed to Goosebumps, they can read this as well. But I'd almost say, in some ways, the ending is not amazing by any means. It's just satisfying, I think, for the most part. Kind of predictable. But the story is very slow. It's a very slow boiling story, and I'm fine with that. I don't mind that at all. Same problem with Nancy Drew. You know, there's a thing like that that happens every once in a while, just slow books. I'm fine with that. A lot of kids might get impatient with that. But this is a little bit darker than a Goosebumps book. This is like on the darker end of Goosebumps spectrum. Like you have Goosebumps 1 at the Haunted Mask, my personal favorite Goosebumps book at the current moment. Or like Ghost Camp, which I think is scarier than this. But this is like up there with Ghost Camp. It's a creepy book, man. I recommend it. I really do. It's got some eeriness to it. It just has an atmosphere to it that is just unbelievable. Like, I don't know how to explain how different this feels to Goosebumps in a lot of ways. Again, it could be a possibility that there's a different writer. That's very possible. But the story's content itself and that plot of playing hide and seek with a spirit is just plain creepy. I mean, as a Christian myself, that idea is utterly terrifying to me. I mean, just something about it, just messing with some kind of thing like that is petrifying. I don't know, it's just, maybe it's just me with my Christian bias, I don't know, but something about that just really gets under my skin. That's what interests me to want to read the book to begin with, and I couldn't recommend it enough. If you want a really scary read, this is not exceptionally scary, but it has its moments that it genuinely kind of gets you a little worried, you know, a little creeped out. I read this mostly during the day, and then tonight I read like the other half of the book tonight at nighttime at like 2 a.m. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man, it's kind of, it'll get to you a little bit, 2 a.m. in the night when you're by yourself. But anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on R.L. Stine's Ghosts of Fear Street, book number 1, Hide and Shriek? Put your thoughts in comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this cool little book. I definitely recommend it as a thing that is like Goosebumps, you know, because my channel is mostly focused on Goosebumps. I don't know if I'll always do reviews for each of these, you know, as they go along. I don't know if I want to do it just mainly for the books that I enjoy. I'm not really sure. I still haven't figured that part of the things like Goosebumps section of my channel out. I don't know. I might still review them, even if I don't think they're that great, just because maybe people want to hear some things out there. Maybe it'll grow the channel a little bit. I also don't know what to do about Fear Street itself. Like, I ever read any Fear Street books themselves, it is by the same author as Goosebumps. It is kind of the same idea of individual standalone stories for the most part that just go on and on and on. There's like hundreds of Fear Street books now, just like with Goosebumps. I don't think they have as many as Goosebumps, but they have quite a few. They've been going on since like the 80s. But I don't know how to approach that. I don't know if I want to review that here on the channel either. I don't really know how to approach that. But if I'm doing Ghost of Fear Street, which is more like Goosebumps than the regular Fear Street apparently, then I might as well do it. I don't know. I'm really not entirely sure. If you have some thoughts on that, put that down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. But anyway, when it comes to Ghost of Fear Street, book number 1, Hide and Shriek, if I had to rate this on a 5-star basis, I'd give it about a 4 out of 5. This is pretty eerie stuff, man. I think there are some Goosebumps books, like I said, that are scarier than this, but this is pretty eerie, man. It's pretty impressive. But my question to you, person, without spoiling anything for me of future books, Fear Street or Ghost of Fear Street wise, do you think this is as scary as the Ghost of Fear Street books get? I say that mainly, and I ask that mainly, because I want to know for buying habits, like what I should look out for and stuff when it comes to Ghost of Fear Street. I know this is very popular amongst many people who love Goosebumps, and 90s kids like myself apparently love this. I didn't even know it existed until recently. Maybe the last 6 months I started hearing about it here on YouTube from people. But you know, it is what it is. Let me know down below what you guys think about the book. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. I'd love to hear what you have to say about my review and everything. Do you have a favorite Ghost of Fear Street book or a favorite Fear Street book that you'd like me to read sometime? There are some cool things I'm looking out for that I do want to talk about sometime soon. Especially like Halloween time. Halloween time, I'm going to be slam-packed with so many Goosebumps books to talk about. There's a ton to review, God willing. But anyway, what are your thoughts, guys? Let me know. Thank you for watching. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.